Hello, everybody. Today we are going to discuss about the positive parenting. And to speak about the positive parenting on our podcast, we have a very special guest, Miss Diane Lang. I will speak a little bit about this great personality, though she has so many feathers in her cap, but I will try to make it little as you can focus, and I would like to listen her more because she has a tremendous years of experience. So let's begin. Dan is a practicing counselor, national speaker, educator, and a certified positive psychology coach. She has her master's degree in the counseling and is an adjunct at Montclair State University in the undergraduate psychology department. She has written 3 books and has been featured in various publications and on TV and internet shows. Dan speaks on various mental and emotional health topics, including happiness, resiliency, stress management, and the parenting positive aging, anxiety, and depression in both teens and adults. Dan also specializes in the positive psychology and positive education and the positive parenting. Diane has written 3 books. Her latest is Mindfully Happy Waking Up to Life. As an expert in her field, Lang has been featured in the Daily Record, the Family Circle, Family Magazine, and the Working Mother magazine, seen on NJ12 TV, Good Day City, Style City, CBS News, and Fox and Friends. Thousands of individuals have already benefited from Diane's motivational and educational speaking, training, and coaching. Her hands on approach, along with her background, education, and experience, has already proven to be beneficial to all who have attended her lots of presentations. So I warmly welcome you, ma'am, in our show and hope that you will have a great time with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so today, actually, the topic that we have taken for discussion is a very fertile topic. Almost in every family, the people are taking it as a challenge or maybe as a problem. This is nothing but how to do the parenting of children. Because today's generation is such a kind very much prone to different kinds of distractions in the society, and people are having like the media and so many things accessible for them. So it is very difficult most of the time how to handle such children who can have more access. Most of the time they know better than us in some ways in the technology. So I would like to ask few questions, and we will discuss about that. Like my first question for you, uh, what exactly is the positive parenting and how does it differ from other parenting styles?
So, positive parenting, what makes it a little different than other different types of parenting classes? And they're all good. So, we should pick and choose what works best for us. With positive parenting, we're really looking more at the parent instead of the child. So, you're looking at yourself as the parent who's also the role model, the mentor for our children. So, kids learn through role modeling, observation, and imitation. So we as parents need to be the best role model and mentor we can be. So with positive parenting, we're really turning it around and looking at the parent and saying, are you being a positive parent? What kind of, comments do you say during the day? Are you giving negative feedback, negative comments? Do you have a negative attitude? It's really looking at your own behavior and actions because, as we know, kids role model and imitate what we do, especially very young kids, right? Kids between about birth and puberty are really learning through observation and role modeling. So, how we act, what we say, what tone of voice we use, all of that is so important because our kids pick it up and then they start running with it because they think it's correct. So it's really turning it around and looking at our own behavior as parents and thinking, if we want our children to be raised a certain way, then we have to role model the behavior that we want from our kids. So that's what makes it a little different. And it's really about being a positive parent, being the best parent you can be, and not judging it or comparing ourselves to other parents, because we all parent differently. We
Yes,
all come from different backgrounds. We've
yes,
had different childhoods. So it's really important to set realistic expectations for yourself and for your kids, and think about what kind of parent do you want to be, and then role model those behaviors and actions for your kids to see. And again, we're not expecting perfection. There is no such thing as the perfect parent. And even though I've been teaching this and working in the field for over 20 years, I'm sure my daughter would gladly tell you I'm not a perfect parent by any means, but I try to be the person that I want her to see. I try to, radiate positivity, resiliency, optimism. And again, only with realistic expectations, knowing that I'm going to have bad days, knowing that I'm going to say the wrong thing, knowing that I'm going to have to apologize. And that's okay, because that's part of what the real world is, right? We all have failures, we all make mistakes, we all have setbacks, but we want to take accountability and responsibility for our actions so our kids see that. So when we're teaching any type of positive parenting, it's really about looking at yourself as the parent and saying, am I being a good role model? Am I being a good mentor? Am I being the parent I want to be? And really analyzing your own parenting style or parenting skills. And remembering that parenting is a learned trait. So we learn as we go. And again, we take a lot of what we learned through childhood and how we were raised, and we have to really evaluate and look through it and say, are these the type of skills that I want to show my child? We all learn as we get older, right? Our kids, when they become parents, will know better than we did. And we're trying to know better than our parents did. So it's really like I look back at my childhood and my parents and learn from their experiences. Do I want to follow in that suit? Do I want to do something different? How did that impact me? And then making changes accordingly. But it's really looking at yourself as a parent.
yeah, perfect, perfect. You have really clarified almost doubts whatever I had for how to approach to the children for parenting. Now, there are different likings and the disliking for the children, and each entity on this earth has a different ideology. Like I might feel that the punishment is necessary for the child to correct. I might feel like that, but maybe the other parent might not feel like that. Maybe he will care for the child too much. He will pamper the child. So what do you think? Is there any midway? Is there any particular way where we can have miss this parenting as being a friend of the child? We can correct. Is there any way like that?
So one of the things to think about is whether you're in a healthy marriage and you're working together as parents, or if you're a single parent and you're co-parenting,
Mm.
because we know in this world today, there's different family dynamics, right? You might be happily married. You could be in a relationship, but not married at all. You could be a single parent where you're co-parenting. So either way, when there's two parents, we need both parents to be on the same page,
Yes.
because even young kids know how to manipulate their parents, and they know which parent to go to get this answer or this response. And they know how to do that. So even very young kids, I mean, even preschool age can figure that out. So parents need to take some time to really figure out how they want to parent together,
Yeah.
and thinking about what they value and what their beliefs are in very important areas, such as religion. How do you want to raise your child? If you're going to raise them with a specific religion or spiritual,
Yeah.
what will that look like? How do you want to raise your child when it comes to punishment or discipline? Any of that, or even, again, with technology, because when parents disagree, the kids use that to their advantage, or they just see the parents disagreeing, and it can cause fear with the child that they caused it, that it was their fault that the parents are fighting. So when parents come in, they have to be on the same page. So, one of the things that I always suggest to people is, before you even have kids, and you know that you're going to spend your life together, or hopefully spend your life together, we have no guarantees, but you're planning on having kids, really having those hard discussions of what you want that to look like. How many children do you want? Again, how do you want to raise them? Where do you want to raise them? What type of schools, religious backgrounds? All of that should be discussed before you have your kids. That's not always what happens.
Mm.
That's in an ideal setting. But even if you find yourself in a setting where you're having kids earlier than expected or you're already pregnant, you can still have those discussions of how do we want to raise our kids?
Yeah.
And really coming into terms and having an agreement of what that looks like, especially with discipline, because when children make a mistake and they need to have some consequences for their actions, you really want to be on the same page because
And most
again,
of the
that's where
time,
kids know.
sorry to interrupt. Most of
No,
the time, I have observed where the parent, you rightly said, where the parent both are working, both the parents are
right.
working. At that time, especially these issues are found in such families because both the parents are there and the child is getting lonely. The child is not having much interaction with them, and because of them, I feel all these issues are emerging in the society.
Well, unfortunately, though, we're live in a world, and I think wherever you are in the world, most areas, both parents need to work, unfortunately. It's not the way, a lot of us were raised in past generations where there was one parent home and the situation looked different than today. You're right. I mean, I'm in the United States, but I know most areas where I am in the New York City area, you have to have two parents to work just to afford basics. And I know that's happening in a lot of different
Yeah.
states and countries.
Yes.
So there's only so much we can do because we don't want it to come down to, can we pay our rent and can we pay for our food? So if we're going to have that situation where both parents are working, it's really about making sure there's quality time more than quantity.
Yeah.
Because it's really about what do we do when we're with the kids. And the
Yes.
other thing is having a work-life balance. So if you are working, and especially now a lot of times people are working home. Ever since COVID, we still have a lot of remote or hybrid people, parents who are working from the home and they don't know when to shut the computer off. So, they'll work a little bit, then they go out for a snack, then they work, and the kids don't know when their parents are off. So when you have that work-life balance, and if you decide that your work ends at 5 or 6 o'clock at night, that's when all of the technology gets shut down. So it shouldn't be multitasking that, you're on your laptop trying to do work, cooking the dinner, and trying to help your kids with homework. This is where the quality time comes in. This is where that one-on-one time comes in where you're like, okay, just going to sit down with you. We're going to eat dinner. We're going to discuss how your day was. Then we're going to do homework. So really making sure that you have a work-life balance, because I don't think we're going to have the opportunity for going back to one parent where one parent was home all the time. That would be ideal for many households, but just in today's world, even if somebody does want to stay home, I don't think they have that option. And I don't want parents to feel guilty because they have to go to work as well. We still have to pay for our homes and food and college, and everything is just getting more expensive. And if parents are feeling really guilty, then it's going to be hard for them to really spend quality time because they're always going to be feeling guilty or feeling bad. So if you are working, and whether it's because you have to or you choose to, then it's going, okay, this is, what we're doing. So now when I'm done with work and my hours are over for work, it's all about quality time and also family time,
Yes.
where again, there's no technology. I'm not saying for emergencies, of course, but we're really spending time together. And one of the most important times of the day for families, whether they're working full time from home, hybrid, whatever it is dinner time. Because dinner time is where everybody can get together. And it's not about what time is dinner time. Some people it's earlier, some people it's later, depending. I have some couples that I work with that, one works nights and one works days, so they don't have to put the kids in daycare, but they only have a few hours in between where they're both parents are together. So it might be that you have an earlier dinner and you rearrange the routine that they do homework afterwards. It's not about that. It's about what you do during that time. And one of the best things to do is no technology, and sitting down and actually having conversations and asking open-ended questions, such as, not like, how was your day? Because kids will go, it's fine, it was okay. And they won't elaborate. So it's asking questions that gives more information. So it might be such as, oh, I know that your teacher was out last week for math. She was sick. Did the new teacher come back in? Did you have a new substitute, or did the old teacher come back? And what did you learn today? Or how was lunch? Who did you sit with in the cafeteria? What food did you have? It's asking questions where they can dive in and give like really some meat back, not just, yeah, it was fine, it was okay, and allowing the conversation to flow. And as the parents, also jumping in and saying how your day was, making it a real big conversation. So dinner time should be really where there's no technology and it's just the family.
Of course.
And the same with at night too, like shutting all technology off at a certain time where maybe you have a family movie, family game night, depending whatever the family likes to do, but there is no technology and no work,
Especially
and
the
we're focused
mobiles.
on each other.
Especially
Especially
the
what?
cell phone. Yeah, cell phone should not be there. And I have observed since I spent 4 years in abroad, like in Dubai. So
Mhm.
during my working hours, I observe most of the time the people who were working there during that time from US, UK, all those time. So they were very strictly following the weekends. Like sometime we used to go for overtime or something. So if there is some work, we used to go, but they were so strict and very to the point. If they are not working Saturday, Sunday means they are not working at any cost. Miss family time, as you said. So I have already seen people are very strict. But sometime what happened? A child means where both the parents are working, the child is not attached to them. The child is just taken care by the maid or
The
maybe any
nanny.
caretaker. So during that time, the emotional attachment is not there with the parent. Though the parent are providing money, giving all the resources, whatever the expenses are there, they are taking that. But even after that, the emotional attachment is not there. Thinking this point, I left my job and I came back to India. I was thinking, no matter I will be earning money, I'll be sending there, my children will grow. But where will be the emotional attachment? My children will not be attached emotionally with me. Therefore, I quit there and I came back. So, do you think this emotional attachment plays an important role in the development of a child?
It actually does. It's really important that kids do have a healthy attachment to their parents. But knowing this, a lot of kids, especially here in the States, wherever in the United States, they go to daycare. Some of them have nannies, but a lot of them are in daycare, and no exaggeration, daycare or preschool will start at 6 in the morning.
Hmm.
Sometimes they don't pick up their child till 6 in the evening, just because the commute could be 2 hours here, especially if you're commuting to New York City. And then, by the time they pick them up with traffic, it's the same thing. And you can still have an attachment with the child, even if they're at a preschool setting or a daycare setting or they have a nanny. And it's okay if they have, what I've seen is I have some clients that they grew up with a nanny and their parents. And if the parents were equally involved, they can have an emotional attachment with both. We don't want it that they're only attached to a teacher or a nanny and they don't think of their parents as their parents. Sometimes you see it as they just think of their parent almost like you said as a provider or a friend. You still want to be the parents, you do still have to be involved. And it's a conscious choice to make. Like you did, you decided to move home and spend more time with family. And that's an amazing opportunity and gift that you're giving to your kids. Not everybody has that ability to do it. We have a lot of single parents who have to work. They don't have those choices. So that's why we're talking about when you do have the time, it's really important that you form that attachment and that you do spend the time and the quality and that they know that you're there, even if they have an emotional attachment to a babysitter or to a nanny that they love. And that's okay because we've seen kids who are raised in generational homes where it's the parents and the grandparents and the great grandparents, and they all live together and they all help raise the children. That's what it used to be. We used to say, right? It would take a village to raise kids, and now we expect just one parent to raise two kids on their own
Yes.
while working full time. So you can actually have children who are attached to the grandparents as well as the parents or a nanny, and they could still all work well together if they're all on the same page, they all follow the same value system, and they all make the child first.
But nowadays, the grandparents concept is also getting less in the modern society. We have the nuclear families now, where in most of the families you will find the individual, just husband, wife, and children. With grandparents is also losing the, I would say, the role, most of the role in the family. There used to be like decades ago, where the grandparent used to be just like a monarch or a king in the family. Whatever he says, that
Right.
will be followed. But now I think the society has taken a turn in such a way where every individual wants his family, his child, and that's it. And because of this, I think the old age houses are mushrooming in the society. That is really a very pinching point, very big irony in the society, I would say, where those parents who have taken care us during our childhood, now most of us, we are putting them into the old age homes and we forgot everything what they did for us. But the same thing happens, our child also think about like how we have done. So how to avoid this situation? Like most of the time I observe ki we are not able to understand. I think most of the parents fail to understand their own children, like what is their unique style of thinking, what is the passion, how do they behave, why do they behave in a certain way. So I think first every parent must be able to know their child, miss, they're lacking.
Most important thing is to
Yeah,
know your child because you know
yeah,
your child the best, better than the nanny, the daycare, the teacher. You know your child the best. So that's a really important point to make out.
yeah.
Yes.
And
You know, okay,
how
sorry.
can a parent how can a parent will know the child if he wants to know, like he has to spend time with him, isn't it? Without
Yes.
spending the time, a parent cannot know about the child.
Well, I have to say here in the United States, the one thing we've noticed is actually shifting. We're having more families living multi-generational, and a lot of it is because they can't afford it, is the truth. It's a financial issue here, but it's actually taking us back a little bit, kind of old school, which is really great. We're seeing a lot of parents and grandparents all living together, whether it's a mother-daughter house or they're in one big house or next door to each other. So we're seeing the opposite here. And even though it's happening for financial issues, it's still really nice to see because you're right. A lot of it is, we've gotten to a place where parents get older and we put them in assisted living or senior living in nursing homes and they don't get the closeness. But it is important that we try to keep the family, the extended family, as much as, the immediate together. But it is important that you do spend really quality time with your child. And that is how you get to know your child. But every child learns differently. Every child learns at a different pace. And there are certain things you could do as well, like staying in touch with the teachers. When your child is in preschool or elementary and higher, it's really about talking to the teachers in the preschool, finding out how your kids are learning. There are personality tests. We use one here called What Kind of Smart Are You? It's a multiple intelligence theory test by Dr. Howard Gardner. And you can give it to very young kids. The parents can do with the children, and they can learn how their child learns the best. So
Yes,
this way you can help the child with school, with homework, teaching them at home during the summer, what we call, brain drain. Here, we're in the summertime and kids are off from school for a few months. So it's really important that we do know our child and figure out how they learn and be able to help them. So you could do it again through conversations with the teachers and the nannies and whoever your kids are with, besides knowing your child the best, and then even doing personality testing with them to see how do they learn so that you can help them and know their strengths and their weaknesses, because
yes,
every child, just like every adult, has their strengths and the weaknesses,
yes.
and we know what they are. We can help them improve on them.
Sometimes even it has been observed that most of the parents, they are just like dictators. I'm not here to criticize anyone. It is their way how do they deal with their children. But sometimes it is observed that they do never want to listen to their child. They are not a good listener. And I think because of that, all the clashes starts in the family. And the child and the parent, they are not getting closer. Means because maybe whatever the child want to share with the parent is always busy with the work or some other kind of thing, and they don't give the emphatic listening, the actual listening to the child, the active listening. They
Yeah.
simultaneously they will do their work and they will just say, okay, okay, tell me what happened. So if a child wants to share something happen in the school with a parent, then I think the parent should stop every work and give 100% attention to the child, because the moment you start listening the child feels much satisfied. He feels very close to the
Oh,
parent. Yeah. So,
absolutely. We need to be active and empathetic listeners. When we actually listen to our kids with empathy, just imagining, what they're feeling, what they're going through, even if we didn't go through it, because you're right, we come from a different generation. We were not raised in a generation of smartphones and
yeah.
Google, I still had to go to the library, we still had to get in our car and go places. We didn't have instant gratification. So we do we don't fully understand what they're going through, but if we come from a place of really listening and being empathetic, it allows our kids to know they're being heard, that we care. And once a child feels cared for and heard, then they'll open up more. So it's really important that we active listen where we're just doing one thing at a time, right? We're not on our phones, we're just having eye contact and we're really just talking to our kids and they know that we're listening. One of the things too, if you have younger children, so preschool age, early elementary, you want to make sure that you have good eye contact. So you might want to sit down with them so you're equal with the eye contact so you can look in their eyes. Because when we look down at kids, it's a fear-based look and we're not getting that eye contact.
Yeah.
But literally having eye contact, letting them know we're listening by our nonverbals, nodding our head, saying, putting our hand on their arm or their shoulder, letting them know we're listening, asking questions, summarizing what they just said, again, being appropriate, knowing their age, because not sure what parents are listening. You could have kids really young or kids in college. So either way, we still need to be an active listener and then coming from a place of empathy where we just can imagine what they're feeling. And again, even if we don't know what they're going through, we can always feel or imagine the emotions they're feeling because we all know what it feels like to be stressed or angry or hurt or scared. So we can connect with the emotions, even if we've never been through the situation they've been through.
With the non-verbal ways also we have to understand how the child is and how and
Yes.
why he or she is behaving. Okay, my next question to you is, in what ways do children learn behavior pattern from their parents? Most of the time it is seen that children are the best imitators. If the parents are fighting at home, if they are shouting at each other because of any reason, so that will definitely have a very negative impact on the children. So how do you say, means, how would you define ki, uh, if any family is actually suffering from this, with the children are imitating all the things, so how the parent can be careful, means, uh, how they have to be cautious to avoid this situation, that if first of all there should not be shouting or any other kind of misbehave in front of children, but how they can take care about their own behavior, otherwise the same thing will pass to the children only.
Well, it's starting to look at your own behavior and becoming self-aware. So one of the things is thinking to yourself, are you an optimist? Are you positive? Are you resilient? Or are you a pessimist? And why we say that is if you are very negative about the world, you're always very judgmental, you're always criticizing, that's what your kids will hear and see. If you're always trying to see the glass half full, which again, we know this is not going to happen. There's bad things that happen in the world, and we're not saying to not acknowledge them. We're just noticing what our attitude is, what our tone of voice is, what comes across from us. Because if we're positive, they will be more positive. If we're very negative or pessimistic, that's going to be what they are too, because we have learned behaviors. Kids learn literally between birth and about 7, 8 years old get most of their belief systems, which is just thoughts, that we have over and over again that we heard over and over again. So if we have a parent that's constantly saying, you're so stupid, why are you doing that? That's so stupid, you're being dumb, just using that as an example, that's what a child's going to feel if she or he constantly hears that over and over again, because that repetitive thought becomes a belief system. And it comes that early, literally between birth and 7, 8 years old, you're developing your beliefs. So we really want to be careful how we talk to our kids, what we say to our kids. So it's being self-aware of your behavior. It's also noticing this. We're going to have days that we didn't sleep, we have the flu, we're overwhelmed, and we're going to snap and we're going to yell, or we're going to say things we regret. And that's okay too, because that's just human nature. Well, when that happens, it's sitting down with your child again and using appropriate language, knowing your child's age, how they act, their maturity, and saying, just want to take accountability for this. Or, mommy's really sorry. She was really cranky yesterday. I didn't mean it. I just didn't sleep well, but it's no excuse. And apologizing, because that teaches them that it's okay to make a mistake, which it is. It's part of the human process, but that you can acknowledge it and you can learn from it. So if you as the parent make a mistake, you do something you regret, apologize, own it. If you as a couple fight, it's okay that they see, again, appropriate. So you can have disagreements. You don't want to curse, you don't want to be abusive, but parents can disagree and then turn around to parents and say, you know, sometimes mom and dads don't even get along or agree on everything, but we still love each other. And showing that it's okay to have differences, still love each other and respect our differences. So you can teach your kids through your own behavior. So it's really about self-awareness. And I tell my clients to literally take a few weeks to acknowledge how they are, to be in tune with themselves. Are you negative? Are you positive? How do you see the world? What, again, do you want your kids to see from you? And how can you work on your own behaviors? And really asking yourself questions like, how many negative comments did I say today? What is my tone of voice like? How can I shift my mood when I wake up and I know I'm in a bad mood and I don't want my kids to be, seeing this on a daily basis? And learning ways to manage your own stress and your own emotions, because that's important, because we're always going to have stress, right? We can't live in a stress-free life. So we want to teach our kids how to manage their emotions as well.
Yes, absolutely. I would like to put my last question to you. Actually, your time doesn't permit for more. We will have the second round definitely. I would love to have a series of videos with you because the topic is so fertile. I will
Yeah,
have
it is.
innumerable questions, and as per your experience and expertise, I would like to have a series. So my next question, and I think that would be the last question for this session. If we'll try if we can do some more. How can a parent support their children in pursuing their own dreams rather than the parent's dream? Nowadays, I'm writing one novel on this, my next novel. I'm writing on this where the parents are forcing the child to realize their own dream. So this is really
Right.
something very disgusting, I feel. Ki the parents should not crush them. They are blooming birds. They should not be crushed. The parents should realize ki, first, what is their dream, what the children think, not what they want them to be. So how do you feel? The role of a parent in this situation?
So children are going to experiment as kids with different activities, right? They're going to try baseball, they're
We
going to
have
try art
4 minutes in hand. We have,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'll make it quick. So they're going to try different things. And as a parent, you want to encourage them to try different things, because they're not going to be sure where their strengths are. They're not going to be sure what they like. And that's the point of childhood, is to try different things. So let them try, let them be curious, let them, you know, really try all different opportunities in every aspect, from sports to creativity.
Yeah.
The other thing is asking yourself as a parent, are you pushing them to live the dream that you wanted? A lot of times parents are trying to live their own dream that they didn't do through their child, and that makes everybody unhappy because the child doesn't want to be there. Now, if the child ends up having the same dream with, without any pushing of it, that's great. But this is the thing, we never want to push a child to do anything. We want to encourage. So you want to look at the child's, where their strengths are, what they're enjoying doing, and encourage more of it. And remembering that it's about their dream and listening to what they want. Now, again, if you see your child always giving up, they start something, a new sport, a new class, and they keep giving up after a day or two, you might want to encourage them to finish it, just to know that they should give it the full try. But we never want to push a child to be something they don't want to be, to do something they don't want to do. Because what happens if they go for that, career that's not their dream and they don't like it, they're going to end up resentful, or they're going to end up quitting anyway and then going back to school and delaying their true gifts. And we all have gifts that we should be sharing with the world. So we should be supportive and encouraging, never pushing, and really, again, evaluating ourselves and going, are we letting our kids live their life, or are we trying to push our own dreams on them? and remembering that they have their own strengths and their own interest, and that's the way it should be.
Yes, of course, absolutely. I think every parent must be educated how to
Mhm.
do the best parenting for their children, because children are children. They are not the product like we can remove and we can buy the another one. These are the lives what we have, and these are the most important responsibilities on our shoulder. And I think the job what you are doing, you are educating people in this field as being the good parenting. This is really commendable job. And this is how miss the parenting is something not less than a skill. It is something that I think everybody must have the knowledge, at least the basic knowledge of this. As I told you, the theme of my novel, what I'm writing, the next fiction, that is how some of the parent, they are dominating and forcing the child to become something what they want, and the child is suffering. So that I have gone to the depth of how the child is suffering. One of my character, a very merciful character, and I hope soon it will be published. So you will realize that this is very important issue of our society. And most of the families, you will see
Absolutely.
the people are not even thinking about. They think they are spending money, and we are thinking better for their future, but sometimes it might not be better for them, because they should like the job what they do. It is
They
not
should
like
like
that
it.
if I am a dominant person, if I am a father, then I must be the ruler, the dictator over their head. That should not be there, I think. So thank you so much for your
Thank
precious
you.
time. And out of your busy schedule, you have given half an hour. It's a really very big thing for me. And I would wait for your next dates, and when we can plan for the another part of this series. So
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure being here, and I look forward to continuing the conversation.
yes, definitely. I'll be in touch, and we will have definitely, because I hope our audience are giving very nice response for this, and we will definitely come up with the next part of this. Thank you so
That
much.
sounds great.
And I pray and hope that God bless us all. And please take care, and just see you in our next video soon.
Sounds great. You have a good rest